Chestnuts. That was it. That's all she said. Chestnuts. My dear, dear friend Connie Barnett, opera singer, actress, mother of three, and best amateur cook on the Upper West Side of New York, was responding to my panicked phone call from my modest home in the San Fernando Valley. On behalf of myself and my then boyfriend Gerard, I'd accepted an invitation to a potluck Thanksgiving dinner. Well, what was I thinking? This was not your run-of-the-mill Thanksgiving I was used to, Norman Rockwell stovetop stuffing, pass the beer, and oh look, Daryl's drunk again, and playing Find the Mars bar with the family Rottweiler kind of Thanksgiving. No, this was a full-on, deep in the share-loving, quinoa-eating, rainbow-blazoned heart of West Hollywood Thanksgiving potluck with 6 gay men, of which I was one, but not really, because I've never really done the gay thing quite right. I shop at Kohl's, okay? Which is why I desperately needed Connie's advice, because I had volunteered to bring the stuffing. Okay, I hadn't really volunteered, I'd insisted, because I just know that stuffing is really the most wonderful, delicious, scrumptious, cheap thing that you can possibly make. A little dried bread, a little chicken broth, a little allspice, a little, and bam, you're done, right? No, not in West Hollywood. You try getting that kind of stuffing past the border guards at La Cienega and Sunset and see how far you get. If I was to show up at that dinner with even a shred of my already meager gay pride intact, this had to be more than just stuffing. It had to be fabulous. And Connie assured me that with Chestnuts, it would be. I planned it out perfectly. I would leave work early the day before, that Wednesday, stop at Ralph's, pick up my ingredients, come home, put on a little Sarah Vaughan, oh no, West Hollywood, put on a little Lady Gaga, open a bottle of Martinelli's, relax, and make my stuffing. As it turned out, work was unseasonably busy that Wednesday, and I didn't get out of work until 8:30. I also had to be up really early Thursday morning for a meeting I had to go to that I cannot tell you about. Can't. So time was tight. But I knew I'd be okay because I was making chestnut stuffing with a recipe out of the one cookbook I owned, How to Cook Everything by Mark Bittman of the New York Times. Mark Bittman. Someday I hope to meet Mark Bittman, look him in the eyes, hold out my hand and say, "Fuck you, Mark Bittman. Fuck you." I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh, okay, the recipe. Page 406, How to Cook Everything, Mark Bittman's favorite cornbread stuffing. And though it called for walnuts and not chestnuts, there was a variation at the bottom of the page that swapped out the walnuts for chestnuts and fresh sage, so I was in business. By now it was 9 o'clock, and I'm thinking Ralph's might be running low on chestnuts, so to play it safe, I go to the one store I would ordinarily never set foot in, the store that goes against everything I believe in, Gelson's on Laurel Canyon. I know everything will cost 3 times as much, but just this once I'll do it because they will have everything I need and it will be good and it will be easy and it will be done. So I walk in and I'm guided as if by an unseen hand of God to the produce section. And there they are, chestnuts, a big, giant bin filled with them, so big you could dive into it. $11.99 a pound. I know, but I'm on a mission now. So I scoop up those chestnuts, I get the fresh sage, I pick up 2 boxes of Pepperidge Farm classic cornbread stuffing and a few other items. Oh, and on the way out, I also buy 2 giant orchid plants because I don't need them and I have no place for them, but it's Gelson's and that's what you do. $85 later, I'm back home with my sharpest knife, ready to follow Mark Bittman's instructions to score X's on the flat side of the chestnuts. And that's when I learned something interesting about chestnuts. They do not have a flat side. What they have are very slippery round sides. And when you score them with an X using a sharp knife, that knife may slip. This is something Mark Bittman does not tell you. So about a roll and a half later of Bounty paper towels wrapped around my thumbs to stop the bleeding, I was finally able to get those little motherfuckers into a large pan of boiling water, which, as far as I'm concerned, was exactly what they deserved. 20 minutes later, I took them out, let them cool, wrestled the hard shell off one of them, popped it into my mouth, and thought, wow, this must be what rabbit shit tastes like. I was devastated. I had 2 pounds of terrible tasting chestnuts. At this point, Gerard calls, how's the stuffing going? Oh, tears welled up in my eyes. I thought of Eleanor Donahue in Father Knows Best. You know, she was just the queen of self-pity. I always loved her in that show. And, you know, that was the homecoming episode where she came home and she hadn't been picked for homecoming queen, and she just ran up the stairs sobbing. And then the commercial came, and then after the commercial, Robert Young sitting at the foot of her bed going, Princess, what's the matter? And she turns over this way. They put tears in her eyes during the commercial. And she goes, oh, Father. That's how I felt. Gerard, God bless him, he was calm and stoic in that reassuring way that only someone who's truly dead inside can be. Eventually, I hung up, I pulled myself together, I took a deep cleansing breath and went back downstairs. I asked myself, what would Eleanor do? And the answer came. 20 minutes later, I was walking out of Gelson's again with 2 more pounds of chestnuts and a hydrangea. Got them home, found a chestnut tutorial on YouTube, and I scored them in no time, but this time I roasted them. That was the secret, I think. So it was working. I put them in the oven and I roasted, and they smelled great, like those chestnuts in New York on the street corners. Just fabulous. And now it's 11:30. And Gerard calls again. He says, how's it going? I said, well, things are actually looking up. I switched from boiling to roasting, and it seems to be working. I'm cautiously up to, and then there was like a loud pop. And I thought, it's a little early for the drive-bys, but, and then another one, pop, pop. And Gerard's like, what's that sound? And it's like, pop, 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 pop. And I open the oven door. Oh, shit. The chestnuts are exploding. They start flying out of the roasting pan like little chestnut hand grenades, ricocheting off the ceiling, hitting the light fixture, the fridge. It was terrifying. I just had to run upstairs and jump on the bed and go, oh, Gerard! Oh, so it's midnight now. And I'm in the 24-hour Ralph's on cold water. I've lowered my standards, okay? Gelson has closed. This time I buy walnuts, shelled, $4.99 a pound. And when I get back to my place, I feel a great calm. This house is clean. And I made my stuffing along the lines of Mark Pittman's book. And, you know, it came out pretty bad. It came out buttery. I don't know if I used too much butter. It was gooey. And the bread somehow had disintegrated into little sage-flavored pellets of lard. But at this point, it was great. I just no longer cared. I detached with love. No Eleanor Donahue freak out for me. Something had shifted deep inside. And the next day, I felt peaceful. And Gerard and I went to that party, and I walked in, my head held high, with my covered dish, put it on the table, and we sat down to eat. And that's when Brad, our host, in his North Carolina accent goes, this is interesting. What kind of grain is this? I said, quinoa. They loved it. Happy holidays. And fuck Mark Pittman.